the stronger one wins. And so Mary said, I've got to go strengthen my faith until I start feeling some signs and some movement. When it comes to the promises of God, you've got to stamp your faith with a very popular phrase, but it's in the Bible, but it's real trendy now. You see it all the time. This is what you have to stamp on your faith when you start to believe something or when you're not believing very well. You know the phrase, wait for it, right? People will post a video on social media, and you know, if there's a little lead space in that video, in other words, there's a few seconds or a minute or two before the actual point or the humorous thing takes place, they'll just put a stamp on there, wait for it. And what that tells you is don't get bored. Don't think this is just some random, video of a person walking down a path because a cat's about to jump on their head or something. And so let's say, wait for it. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes you got to do what Mary did, and you just got to stamp your faith. I've got to wait on this. I got to give this some time. I've got to feed my faith and not let my doubts be fed. I've got to believe, and so I'm just going to wait for this. And then Elizabeth said, you're blessed because you believed. You believed. Wait for it. Some of you need to have a banner over your promise today. Wait for it. Well, but it's been a long time. I know. See, Habakkuk says, it says the promise is for an appointed time, though it tarry, wait for it. That phrase is in the Bible. It says it won't tarry. In other words, it won't go past the appointed time. It may go past my expected time. Listen, the Bible says the promise is for an appointed time, not an expected time. And I'm real guilty of not waiting on the appointed time. I'm waiting on the expected time. Well, God, by now, I expected you to have done this. I expected that by now you would have helped us because we're past the deadlines. We're past the diagnosis. We're living over the edge. It's not the expected time. The vision or the promise is for an appointed time, a set time. And you know what we have to do with that stamp of wait for it? When the expected time comes and the promise is not fulfilled, wait for it. And you extend God a little bit more time and patience, right? And then you have another expectation. Okay, now you really got to come through now. And he doesn't come through and you're like, well, instead of going, I don't think you're going to do this, you're just like, okay, wait for it. And you give him another space of time. But the Bible says, if we have faith for something with patience,